Only 4 teams remain at this World Cup. Only 4 games left of this World Cup. One team moves on to the final on Sunday in New York, New Jersey. One team goes on to Miami for a third place game that nobody truly cares about. It's the first semifinal of this World Cup. It is France. It is Spain. A battle of 2 European giants. Let's get after it. Welcome into World Cup Preview, World Cup Today, here on the Nick Burt Sports Network. Boy, do we have a game for you today. First semifinal of this World Cup at the Dallas Stadium in Arlington, Texas. Hopefully that does not confuse you. We are, 30 odd something days into this World Cup. You should know by now. It is 2 European giants going up against each other once again. It is France taking on Spain. What a just monumental matchup we have here. Two of the biggest names in this sport right now, team-wise. You have a French team that has looked dominant all tournament. A Spain team that has had their moments where they've looked good and have had their moments where they have looked poor, to say the least. Both teams have had moments where they've needed to be bailed out, some by bench players, some by their star players. We are in for a absolutely incredible matchup today. Let's take a look at the lead up to these games. For France, completely unbeaten coming into this game. A 3-1 victory against Senegal to open the tournament. Then a 3-0 victory against Iraq and a 4-1 win against Norway to close out the group stage. In the round of 32, they beat Sweden 3-0. They got past Paraguay 1-0. And most recently, they picked up a 2-0 victory over Morocco, sending home the 2022 semifinalist in a rematch of that 2022 semifinal game. For Spain, it all started with that 0-0 draw against Cabo Verde and a lot of questions being asked. It then was followed up by a, kind of settling 4-0 victory against Saudi Arabia, and then followed up by a 1-0 win against Uruguay to close out the group stage. Round of 32 saw them get a 3-0 victory against Austria, then a 1-0 victory against Portugal, and then most recently a 2-1 victory against Belgium in that quarterfinal round, sending home what was probably the final remnants of the Belgium golden generation. Now, with those past 2 games, it was Mikel Merino coming off the bench and being the hero for Spain, getting them the winning goals within the last 5 minutes both times, and sending Spain to this semifinal. Now, of course, France are led by the great Kylian Mbappé, who has 8 goals this tournament, 3 assists. He has played in all 6 matches so far. He has had a absolutely incredible tournament as he, I won't even say creeps up the leaderboard of all-time World Cup goals scored, because he is the leaderboard with Lionel Messi right now. And, by the time this tournament is over, there's a chance Mbappe is above Messi, and he just continues to grow that for at least 2 more tournaments, which is scary to say the least. Now, these 2 teams, it feels like they kind of face off quite so often. These 2 faced off in the Nations League in 2021. France won that 2-1. They then faced off at the Euro. I want to say it was the semifinal of Euro 2024. Spain got a 2-1 victory there, where they moved on to the final and, of course, won it against England, I believe, by the same score, 2-1. And then you get to their most recent meeting, and that was once again in the Nations League. I believe it was the Nations League semifinal. It would be Spain winning that game 5-4 in what was just a wild game, to say the least. You look at the scores: Nico Williams in the 23rd minute, then Mikel Merino in the 25th minute. You then get Lamine Yamal in the 54th minute off a penalty, and then Pedri in the 55th minute. So that is obviously 2 goals back-to-back. It was 4-0. And then Mbappé scored on a penalty in the 59th minute. So we have it 4-1. Then it would be Yamal scoring again, so it's now 5-1. And then Cherki scored in the 79th minute. Vivian scored an own goal in the 84th minute, and Kolo Muani scored in the 3rd minute of stoppage time, and that got you your 5-4 scoreline. You look at that, though. In the more recent games, Spain has had that upper advantage. They are the last team to beat this French side, which is both shocking and not shocking to say. There's a reason Spain is on a 36-match unbeaten streak, and it's not because, they're playing nobodies. They are playing very good teams, including this French team multiple times. And that's going to be something France are going to have to deal with here, because Spain have clearly had their number these past few years, and I believe that mindset is in that Spanish camp, because you've heard like Lamine Yamal come out and say, what do we have to be scared of? We are European champions. We have beat them. We are the last people to beat them, which is fine and dandy. But, Yamal is talking a lot for a player that hasn't done a lot this tournament, so he's writing checks that he's hoping his team can cash. You do look at that 36-match unbeaten run for Spain: 27 wins, 9 draws. This Spanish team have 100% been the thorn in the side for Didier Deschamps and this French side. But it truly does feel like it comes down to just one man and one man only. And that man, of course, is Kylian Mbappé. If he can, have his game like he's been having and get a goal or two, I don't think anything is stopping this French team. And I'll say the same thing about that in the final. I don't think anything's stopping them at this moment. On their road to the final, I truly do think Spain are probably the toughest test. I believe there is a reason people do believe this is kind of the World Cup final. And I get it. Like, the other two sides are not at these levels. I do think both England and Argentina are closer to Spain than they are to France. But that's obviously an interesting dynamic how that will play out there. Overall, though, this French side has not shown any signs of being, in trouble at this tournament, where Spain have done it multiple times, especially in the past 2 games. When you are 0-0 going into second half stoppage time against Portugal, not great signs. When you are level 1-1 with 5 minutes to go against Belgium, not a great sign. And I keep going back to that Cabo Verde game. I get it. It was the first game of the tournament, but even then they didn't look great. And it just seems like they have struggled to be consistent this tournament, I guess is the best way to put it. Because on their good days, they look like the best team in Europe and can compete with France. On their bad days, it could potentially look like Spain or France could put 3 or 4 past Spain. This is quite the interesting matchup. Now, of course, the question is, injury-wise, I know Aurélien Tchouaméni is back in training. The belief is he is going to play tomorrow. He hasn't played in the round of 16. He hasn't played in the quarterfinal. How does that play out? I don't know how that feels. It looks like Ferran Torres will potentially be playing tomorrow or today for France or for Spain. Again, interesting dynamics are going to be how you adjust these lineups for these players coming in. Of course, Nico Williams, also another player kind of vying to get a starting spot today. I mean, there's a reason France are the favorites here. They have looked the best this tournament. It's the fact about Spain being this boogie team for this French side. We talk about boogie teams all the time. One of the biggest cases I am personally aware of is, Tottenham and Man City. It just always seems like Tottenham are the boogie team for Man City. And this Spain side are kind of the same with this French side. It's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out, especially if Spain score early. How does that affect this French team? Because then it's the thoughts of 2024 again. I know France scored first in that game, but those thoughts do creep in. The thoughts of the Nations League. Those thoughts do kind of start filtering in, and you say, we're going down this road again, it seems. That is going to be one of the more interesting non-tactical things I'm going to be watching for today. How does France respond if they go down? Now, if they don't go down and they, take a lead early, how do they manage that? Because this Spain team some days feels like they can, answer immediately. And some days it's just not their day and they're not going to score. Or, it's going to take a miracle for them to score. It's kind of where we're at right now with this Spain team, even though they are one of the best teams in the world. There's a reason they are ranked FIFA number 2. They haven't shown that this tournament, I don't think. I think France have more shown why they should not be at 3 and where they should be at 1 or 2 than Spain have shown that they should be at 2. Overall, though, this is a phenomenal start to the semifinals. Of course, England and Argentina tomorrow. First time ever that all of the top 4 FIFA nations are in the semifinal, which is kind of how FIFA structured this World Cup and the knockout stage. They made sure all 4 of these people were separated so that they would meet in the semifinal. Obviously, with an expanded tournament, you aren't playing as tough of competition leading up to this. So is this going to be the new normal? We'll see. But with that being said, we have a phenomenal game on our hands, and it is time to make a prediction. I still think France are the best team at this tournament, and it is going to take a lot for me to predict against them. And that's why I am taking France to win this game and move on to their 3rd straight World Cup final, which is almost unprecedented. Of course, you think back to the Brazil team of 94, 98, and 02. Their 3 straight tournament runs to the final. I believe West Germany did it in the 70s. I believe Brazil did it in the 50s and 60s. It's very much uncharted territory. There hasn't been that dominant force in world football like that since that Brazil team of 94, 98, and 02. Now, of course, how did those tournaments play out for Brazil? They won the first one in 94, lost the final in 98, and then won in 02. You look at France right now. They won in 2018, lost in 2022, and here we are in 2026. How that plays out is going to be quite interesting to watch. Now, I get it. Spain are the boogie team, and that's probably why they end up winning tomorrow, but I have not seen anything this tournament that told me that Spain is the better team than France. And that is why I'm taking France to win this game. And I think they win it like 2-0, 2-1, something around there. And they move on to the World Cup final. I believe they have the best team at this tournament. And I think it's going to take a lot for them to lose this tournament. It feels like we have reached the point where we aren't questioning if France can win the tournament. We're questioning how can France lose this tournament, because too much is going right for them right now. And I'd be shocked if they don't win this game. I'll be shocked if they don't win this tournament, because they have the best player in world football right now. And that is, of course, Kylian Mbappé. And he is showing that in this tournament. He is having a phenomenal tournament. There's a reason he's on 8 goals, which is tied for a World Cup record, I believe. And that record is with Messi, who also has 8 at this tournament. Overall, though, France are moving on to the final. Spain to the third place game, which is what it is. I mean, we'll obviously be there for it, but that is the most pointless game in football, which makes it sometimes the most interesting, just because sometimes it just gets so wild and out there. And it does pain me to put this Spain team in that third place game, but this is the way the bracket broke out, and I see France moving on to the final. So given that is going to wrap up our first semifinal preview. Of course, kickoff today is at 3 p.m. Eastern time here in the United States. What is going to be an incredible match. I cannot wait to watch it. Thank you so much for watching this preview video. We will be back here tonight to recap it all. So make sure you click like, make sure you click subscribe, tell anybody you know about it. After, of course, tonight, we'll be back here tomorrow morning previewing our second matchup between Argentina and England in what will just be an absolute phenomenal match. Storylines and all. A lot of stuff going on in that one. So make sure you click the notification button so you know when all these videos drop. Again, tonight we'll be back to recap this first semifinal. Tomorrow morning, we will be here to preview our second semifinal. And then, of course, tomorrow night we will be there to recap that second semifinal, maybe do a little bit of a preview of the final and third place game. So for myself, Nick Burt, here on the Nick Burt Sports Network, thank you so much for watching. We will see you again soon for another World Cup episode as we quickly draw to a close here on the Nick Burt Sports Network.